Release and Trust, Divine Revelation in 3 Steps to Supernatural Healing through Ho'oponopono Shorts. In the small village of Eldersfield, where the sunlit spire of the church cast blessings over its people, Sarah felt the weight of despair like an anchor. Her daughter, Emily, lay frail and silent, gripped by a rare illness that drained her spirit. The townsfolk gathered every Sunday, their prayers rising as pure incense, but Sarah felt lost, her heart thrumming with a crisis of faith. Each amen fell like stones on her already heavy soul. Yet somewhere through the crackling pain, hope stirred as she stumbled upon the ancient Hawaiian practice of Ho'oponopono. Even in her skepticism, she gripped it like a lifeline, chanting, "I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you," as if those words could break the curse that clouded her daughter's future. Early one chilly morning, she heard a whisper in the wind, a gentle caress coaxing her to dive deeper into these teachings. Sarah closed her eyes, picturing Emily's joyful laughter, a sweet essence of life that felt worlds away. Each phrase turned her skepticism into a soft glow, igniting an inner spark that seemed to dance with the shadows. She began to blend those words with her Christian prayers. "Lord, forgive me for doubting," she murmured, feeling an inexplicable peace flooded her heart. And just like that, the darkness lifted a little. Before they knew it, the church became a gathering place not just for prayer, but a beacon of possibility. Hope spread like a wildfire, and soon, a prayer meeting was arranged, filling the pews with flickering candles and fervent hearts. "God is listening," Sarah declared, each note of her voice echoing against wooden beams, rising up to the heavens. Yet amidst the prayers, the beloved Father Thomas raised an eyebrow. "Faith must stand alone in times such as these," he warned, casting doubt like a shadow over their faith. Confusion rippled through the congregation. How could they stand firm against the very man who had guided their souls? In this moment of tension, the atmosphere grew thick with uncertainty. The air crackled like a thunderstorm on the horizon, pushing against the walls of belief. Despair threatened even the most devout, yet Sarah held strong, breathing in, her determination heating with fervor. Emily's condition was wearing thin, leading them to an intense prayer vigil that felt like an exhale held too long. Together, they lifted their voices, pouring their hopes into words that spun toward the divine like dandelion seeds in a summer breeze. Just as the sun dipped below the horizon, a miraculously warm light enveloped the gathered souls. "Is this it?" someone questioned, glancing around, eyes wide with anticipation. Sarah felt the energy surge through her with vibrant clarity. "Please, God, let us see your will," she whispered, every ounce of faith coursing through her veins, and then, in a heartbeat, the moment arrived. Emily stirred beneath her covers, eyelids fluttering like the wings of a butterfly awakening in spring. A collective gasp erupted from the congregation, joy mingling with fear as excitement soaked the air. But as Sarah looked at her daughter, a question whispered in her heart: what if this miracle tested their faith in ways they never expected? What awaited them now on this newly forged path of healing? Just as celebration began, an uneasy murmur spread through the crowd. Were their hearts truly ready for the revelations this healing would bring? As Emily's eyes opened wide, concealed wonders unfolded, leaving them trembling at the threshold of divine mystery. Emily's eyes glistened with a newfound light, the depth of her gaze holding a story yet to be told. The congregation leaned forward, hearts pounding with a blend of anticipation and trepidation. What had been silent for so long now spoke volumes in a simple glance. Sarah felt as if a tide of emotions washed over her, lifting the veil of doubt and grief she carried. "Mom?" Emily's voice emerged like a soft melody, fragile yet filled with an undertone of strength. It shimmered through the dimly lit room, igniting a spark of joy in everyone present. A flurry of whispers surrounded them. "Can it truly be? Is she healed?" Sarah could scarcely breathe. Her heart raced not just with love, but with a yearning to comprehend the divine magnitude of this moment. "I'm here, sweetheart," Sarah cried, rushing to her daughter. She enveloped Emily in her arms, the warmth of that embrace echoing the fervor of the prayers they had shouted to the heavens. "I'm so grateful." Tears fell freely from her eyes, tears of relief, pain, and joy all intertwined, but the question hung heavily in the air, unspoken yet palpably felt: what would it take to walk this new path? As the congregation celebrated, chanting praises, Sarah felt a stirring within. In this divine awakening, did they simply return to their lives, or was there something deeper, an invitation to embark on a journey that could set them free forever? Once the initial joy settled, Sarah looked back at Emily, who appeared lost in thought, her brows furrowing. "What is it, my love?" Sarah asked, sensing that the healing had not only altered Emily's body but perhaps her spirit too. I saw things," Emily murmured hesitantly. The words were slow, cautious, as if they carried the weight of 1,000 revelations. "A light. People were speaking to me, praying, I think." The excitement around them surged. The prayers they had uttered together now seemed to dance around Emily like a gentle breeze. Yet, Sarah felt an odd knot tightening in her chest. "What did they say?" She pressed gently, knowing they stood on hallowed ground. Emily glanced down, processing the overwhelming feelings swirling inside her. "They told me to tell you that we are to share this gift. We have to help others understand." "Share?" Sarah echoed, her heart pounding. The enormity of that call echoed through the church. The murmurs of others rose, eyebrows lifting in curiosity, fear mingled with hope. Sarah felt the doubt of Pastor Thomas hovering like a shadow, yet there was a flickering light of faith piercing through. "But how?" she whispered. She understood the power of healing had come, but could they truly harness it for others? Was this what they prayed for? As if in response, Emily closed her eyes again, a serene expression blooming across her face. "They want us to spread love. They want us to heal by saying the words." In that moment, Sarah heard a profound silence, every heart present attuned to the divine orchestra playing around them. The room, once filled with uncertainty, began to resonate with purpose. Together, they stood at the threshold of something extraordinary, feeling a gentle nudge from beyond. What would it mean to share these holy revelations with the world outside the warmth of Eldersfield? Each laid hand upon another felt electric, charged with potential. Sarah's thoughts quickened, the possibilities tantalizing. And as she took a deep breath, a voice deep within her stirred with the promise, "Will we have the courage to embrace this challenge?" Emily opened her eyes, and together they shared a knowing glance. They were ready to walk the path laid before them. The congregation, now a tapestry of faith and newfound determination, held their collective breath. As they clutched hands, Sarah wondered what awaited them on this journey, and how would their faith truly transform the world beyond their walls. The air thickened with the weight of expectation. Sarah's heart beat in rhythm with the pulse of the congregation. There was a sacred aura enveloping them, a promise of unity, a fresh resolve. The lingering echoes of Emily's words wrapped around Sarah like a tender quilt. They were called to share this gift, to heal others through their experience. "What does that look like?" A voice emerged from the crowd, soft yet probing. It was Gary, a longtime member of their community, his brow creased with concern. "How do we even begin to approach something so profound?" The question hung momentarily, and in that pause, a flicker of inspiration sparked in Sarah's mind. She thought of how prayer had unfurled its power in their lives. "Maybe we start with what we know," she replied, her voice steadying with conviction. "Maybe we begin by sharing our story, the miracle that just happened here." Emily nodded, her eyes shining brighter than ever. "Yes. Our journey can help others find hope. They need to know they aren't alone." The murmurs began to ripple through the congregation, a chorus of agreement blossoming. Each word was like a pebble dropped into a pond, sending out ripples of possibility. But in the midst of the excitement, Sarah sensed a hesitation. She could feel it in the shifting bodies beside her. Would the world out there accept this new declaration of faith? With a sudden resolve, Sarah raised her hands. "We can create a place, right here at Eldersfield, where people can come to share their pain. A support group, a safe space for healing." Each word was wrapped in prayer, scented with hope, and infused with spirit. "Like a revival meeting?" one of the young women in the back ventured, her voice bright amidst the somber atmosphere. "Exactly." Sarah beamed, her heart swelling. "Not a show, but a gathering for healing, for embracing our vulnerabilities together." The thought of opening their church's doors wider filled her with a sense of purpose, radiating warmth within her. Pastor Thomas caught her eye and stepped forward, his stature solid yet gentle. True healing demands trust, and it begins with each of us being courageous enough to share. This is a task for the whole community. There was a charged silence before one after another, brave souls lent their voices, sharing their own journeys of struggle and triumph. The once quiet church transformed into a lively laboratory of faith, filled with laughter, tears, and stories. As the sun began to set, painting the room in golden hues, Emily's expression shifted. She became captivated by the presence of something greater. "Mom, I see it again, the light. It feels like a wave." Her voice trembled slightly, the power of her vision washing over them. The congregation leaned in, captivated. "It's like a message," Emily continued, her brow furrowed with intensity. "They are telling me there is more to uncover. One step leads to another, but we have to be brave. They want us to dig deeper." "What else?" Sarah asked, holding her breath. The air electrified around them, infused with the promise of the unknown. Emily closed her eyes, clearly straining to capture the vision. "They say we begin with forgiveness. That's where the healing starts. Every word we speak must come from a place of love and truth." A collective murmur moved through the crowd. The call to action was clear. It transcended personal healing, aiming to create a ripple effect that could touch the lives of many. But just as hope lit their faces, Sarah felt a flicker of fear creep back. Could they manage such a sacred task? As the gathering lingered, all eyes locked on Emily, waiting for the next revelation. What deeper understanding awaited them within this glowing light, and what challenges lay ahead as they stepped forward into the unknown? Would they be strong enough to embrace every word the light revealed? The church stood still, caught in a collective breath of anticipation. Emily's words floated through the air like a whisper of wind that promises rain. But the moment was also laden with uncertainty. Sarah's heart raced, the vision and its call were heart-stirring, yet the task seemed daunting. "Forgiveness," Gary murmured, digesting the weight of those words. "It's such a big ask. It means looking within and confronting our own shadows." "Yes, but there is beauty in that struggle," Emily replied, her voice steady. "It's not about perfection, it's about the willingness to try." Sarah watched, moved by the way Emily spoke with such grace and clarity. The light seemed to brighten around them, enveloping the entire congregation in a sweet embrace. She could feel it resonating through the walls, the spirit connecting them all like a vibrant thread woven through their hearts. "Let us start with one another," Pastor Thomas encouraged. "If we can forgive, if we can be honest with each other, we will light the way for others." His voice had a comforting authority, reverberating with divine love and strength. A ripple of agreement spread through the congregation, faces softening as understanding began to bloom. But there was a stillness, a hesitation before they took the plunge. "What if we fall short?" A timid voice spoke from the back. It was Anne, a new member, her hands entwined nervously in her lap. "What if we're not good enough?" "Ah, but that's the beauty of vulnerability," Emily responded with compassion. "We are not alone in this. We stand together, supporting one another. We might stumble, but grace is where we find our footing." Sarah felt the warmth within her as the hesitancy started to melt away. It was true, there was a strength in their shared fragility. They were not meant to walk this path alone. Love and grace danced between them, a living testament to their faith. "Perhaps," Sarah interjected, "we should take a moment to reflect on who we need to forgive. Let us start within ourselves. Maybe we can write it down and take a step." She envisioned this as an offering, laying bare their souls to each other, wrapped in love and assurance. The congregation sat in silence for a moment, hearts open. Stillness wrapped around them like a cherished blanket. They began to scribble thoughts and prayers, tiny odes to burdens long held. As they did, Sarah noticed flickers of light slashing through the thickening twilight outside. A palpable energy filled the room. "A moment of release," Emily whispered, her voice barely audible, but reaching every heart. "As we write, let us release whatever weighs us down into the light." The room bristled with palpable energy, and one by one, faces began to lighten. Sarah watched in awe as tears slipped down cheeks, release escaping lips, each soul shedding their burden with each penned word. The sound of muffled cries and soft laughter intertwined, a baptism of healing washing over them. As the last of the time came to a close, Emily stood, the light dimming but its essence lingering. This is just the first wave of our journey. Forgiveness is but a step, we have to be open to growing through each revelation that comes next. A new shiver of anticipation filled the room, and Sarah leaned in closer, eager for what might unfold. They had tasted freedom, they had witnessed love. But as they looked to Emily, they all wondered what did the next step hold. How would the next wave of revelations guide them deeper into this unfolding mystery of faith? A hush fell over the church as Emily stepped forward, a gentle light guiding her path. There was a brightness in her eyes, a knowing that sparked excitement within the group. They leaned in, hearts aligned in hope, ready to embrace whatever divine path lay ahead. "Friends," she began, her voice steady and inviting. "We've let go of burdens that weighed us down. This is where the Spirit stirs, where healing takes root. It's time to walk deeper into the light of grace." Pastor Thomas nodded, encouraging the congregation with every word. "Let us speak of trust. As we forgive, we must also learn to trust first ourselves, then each other, and ultimately, the divine plan unfolding in our lives." The room buzzed with whispers, reflections igniting in the hearts of the gathered. Sarah felt an unexpected heat rise within her, a flicker of courage sparking off Emily's words. It seemed as if the air itself was charged with divine possibility. "Trust is not passive," Emily continued. "It's an active choice. To trust means to lean into the unknown, believing that something greater is steering the course of our lives. Each of us has a role in this unfolding story of grace." Gary raised his hand, tentative but determined. "But how do we truly trust? What if our past failures haunt us?" A collective sigh echoed through the church, a shared understanding. Emily smiled gently. "By taking small steps. Trust is grown like a seed. We tend to it with every choice we make, with every act of faith. Let us begin with an exercise," she said, her voice compelling. "Close your eyes. Picture someone or something you've held on to tightly. Something that prevents you from trusting fully. Now take a deep breath and invite the Spirit into the space. Imagine letting that weight go." As the congregation followed her lead, Sarah felt a wave of warmth wash over her. It was as if with every breath, the air thickened with possibilities. Each person was engaged in their personal journey, yet they were connected through this shared experience of trust, vulnerable and beautiful. "Let the Spirit envelop you," Emily breathed softly, her words weaving through the soft silence. "Let love speak through your heart. Let it bring clarity to your doubts and fears." Moments passed in sacred stillness. Whispers of healing spread through the room, alive and tangible. Sarah opened her eyes, feeling lighter and inexplicable peace enfolding her. She saw Anne, whose surprise and joy filled the air, and she realized they were on a shared journey, each step echoing across their hearts. "Now, let us commit to action," Emily urged, lifting her hands towards the ceiling. "Write down ways you will choose trust this week. How will you honor your journey? And remember, it's not about perfection, it's about progression. It's about leaning on each other, sharing in our lives." The congregation began to scribble down commitments, breaths mingling with promises of growth. Laughter and encouragement broke the silence, a sense of community blossomed, vibrant and alive. Once more, the flickers of light outside were prominent, their glow threading through the windows, a reminder of the divine presence alive within them. Joy and anticipation danced in the air, painting their moments with hope. As they prepared to close, Emily shared, "Each step we take in trust opens the doors to healing. This is just the beginning of our journey together, and as we move forward, there are greater revelations waiting to unfold." By then, Sarah's heart raced anew. She sensed there was more, a deeper calling awaiting her response. What door was meant to open next? What would be revealed in the days to come? As they embraced healing and shared the weight of their hearts, the silence spoke volumes, each one wondered what awaited them beyond the threshold of their newfound trust. As the last echoes of Emily's voice faded, a stillness hung in the air, thick with possibility. Sarah's mind danced with thoughts, but there was a profound calm interwoven with her excitement. She felt the Spirit tugging gently at her, urging her to pay attention to the whispers of her heart. The congregation began to stir, slowly rising from their seats, yet the atmosphere remained charged, like the air just before a storm. Some exchanged knowing smiles, while others appeared lost in contemplation. Pastor Thomas wandered the rows, checking in on those who looked deeply moved, offering a warm squeeze of shoulder or an affirming nod. It felt like a holy embrace, binding the community together in this moment of spiritual awakening. "Let us gather in a circle," Emily suggested, her eyes radiating warmth and confidence. The group shifted, forming a human chain filled with open hearts and eager spirits. Sarah found herself next to Anne, their hands clasped, a silent promise of support shared between them. "Now, let each of us share our commitment," Emily encouraged, her voice a soothing balm that wrapped around their individual fears and hopes. "Speak out loud the trust you will embrace this week." One by one, souls gathered together began to share massive burdens being lifted into words. A man named Robert admitted that he feared stepping out in faith to pursue a new job. A woman expressed her desire to mend broken relationships with honesty and vulnerability. Each voice resonated, echoing off the church walls, igniting flickers of understanding among the listeners. The communal exchange filled Sarah with warmth, as if the spirit of love wove around them like a protective blanket. When her turn came, she felt her heart race, but there was strength in unity. "I want to trust that I am worthy of love even when I feel undeserving," she said, her voice trembling slightly but firm. "I want to let go of the fear that holds me back. I choose to believe in who I am becoming." A chorus of amen rippled through the circle, and Sarah noticed the light in Anne's eyes, and the tears glistening in Gary's. Each story was a thread in a rich tapestry, and their collective pain brought them closer, an unbreakable bond of faith forged in the fires of vulnerability. As they embraced, Sarah found herself enveloped in a warmth that transcended simple affection. It felt as if the divine presence wrapped around her, nurturing and embracing her entirely. She closed her eyes for just a moment, the revealing brightness beyond still pulsing in her memory, bringing hope and courage anew. Then, Emily added quietly, "As we make these commitments, let us also invite any fears to join us so that we may release them together. Picture them like stones we can cast into the river of grace." Sarah felt the Spirit surge within her, washing over doubts and insecurities, cleansing them like flowing water. They all turned towards the river, its calming rhythm visible beyond the church windows. On the count of 3, Emily instructed, "We'll throw our fears into the water. Know that each one will be transformed into something beautiful. Are we ready?" A collective breath drew in anticipation, the group's energy blending into a vibrant current, electric and divine. 1, 2, 3. The voices rang out in unison, and Sarah tossed her imaginary stone towards the river. In that moment, she felt a tremendous release, as if she had cast away chains that had bound her for too long. As they stood together, gold-tipped rays of light streamed down from the heavens, illuminating the space with an otherworldly glow. Whispers of glory floated around them, the air trembled with potential. Sarah sensed deep down that their commitments held the key to unveiling something miraculous ahead. Emily's eyes sparkled. "This is merely the beginning of our transformation, dear friends. What will grow from our trust will be extraordinary." Just then, a sudden wind whisked through the church, rustling leaves outside and bringing every heart to a shiver of expectancy. A testimony from the beyond? A sign of something more yet to be revealed? The congregation stood in awe, questions hanging like fruit ready to be plucked. What awaited them next? What awaited Sarah, as she vowed to trust in the unknown? The spirit in the room felt like a living entity, swaying with the breaths of the gathered. Sarah opened her eyes, their depths reflecting the light streaming in. Fear seemed a distant memory as hope blossomed within her. It wasn't just her own resolution, everyone around her glowed with the promise of renewal, as if each person's commitment had ignited a spark lighting their path forward. "Let us stay in that spirit of openness," Emily continued, her voice now a melodic whisper. "Hear how the universe responds to our willingness." As they stood in silence, a gentle rustle came from outside, almost like nature itself was sharing in their moment of devotion. Sarah looked out the window, envy mixing with reverence for the trees swaying, as if acknowledging their gathering. She could sense the river's current calling out, inviting them to merge their lives with its flow. Doesn't that water symbolize incredible potential? Pastor Thomas's voice rose softly, lifting each heart. Just as it purifies and sustains the earth, may our shared commitments nurture our souls. Each of us holds the power to transform life's trials into beauty, just as the river carves its path. Sarah soaked in those words, visualizing the transformation, the joyous sounds of splashes mingling with laughter resonating in her mind. She felt the communal shift, hearts blossoming like flowers under sunlight. Let us close our eyes again, Emily urged, and visualize that something extraordinary is coming, something we cannot yet see but deeply trust. As her eyes shut once more, she let herself swim in the stillness, shunning the disquieting thoughts of doubt. Every kind word shared seemed to echo back at her, fortifying her spirit. Yet, like a wave crashing back onto the shore, uncertainty slipped through, the feeling that she had clung too tightly to her old self, too afraid to let go. What if she was not ready for the transformation? And then, like a feather landing softly on her conscience, came a reassuring whisper, "Sarah, trust the process. Release and embrace the flow." A radiant light flickered in her mind, flooding her being with warmth. Was this what unconditional love felt like? Was this the divine promise of healing? The air felt charged with divine possibility as her heart aligned with the rhythm of the river flow. "Let us lift our voices in a song of gratitude," Emily declared, her enthusiasm infectious. The congregation responded with harmonies that surged as if the heavens themselves rejoiced. Each note blended seamlessly, forming a celestially woven fabric of prayer. Even in the joyous singing, Sarah's thoughts drifted to the journey ahead. It was demanding but filled with promise. What if the life unfolding before her made her confront shadows she had long buried? As the last refrain faded into silence, the winds gathered force outside, blasting through the church as if announcing an arrival. "Is it just me?" Gary murmured, breaking the stillness, "or does anyone else feel we're on the brink of something monumental?" His question hung in the air, tantalizing and mysterious. Everyone felt it, that tremor of divine purpose simmering just below the surface. "Prepare yourselves, dear friends," Emily said, her voice echoing softly, "for the moment of revelation may be closer than we think. God often shows us the way through tiny miracles hidden within the mundane." Sarah's heart raced. What was waiting to be revealed? What would her trust invite into her life? The hesitations bounced in her mind, yet the hope beckoned her to step forward. Would she have the courage to meet whatever awaited her with openness and grace? The air stirred with an electric anticipation as the wind whirled around the church, vibrating with the promise of change. Sarah felt her heart thudding in her chest. The weight of uncertainty pressed heavily, yet the light of hope glimmered insistently within her. She sensed that they were standing on the threshold of something transformative. "Can you feel it?" Emily's voice broke through her reverie, warm and inviting. Around her, the congregation nodded, eyes glowing with a shared understanding. The sacred space they had created buzzed with energy, every soul entwined in a network of prayerful expectation. It was as if the universe itself was leaning in, eager to share its secrets. "Let us connect," Emily encouraged, her hands reaching out as if welcoming each person into a shared embrace. "Form a circle. We want to become a living prayer." As they joined hands, a surge of warmth flowed through Sarah, a gentle reminder that she was not alone. Each grip felt like a lifeline, mingling hopes and dreams in a joyous tapestry. She felt their hearts beating in rhythm, an unspoken promise echoing through their bond. "Breathe deeply together," Pastor Thomas instructed, guiding them stillness. "Let the breath of life renew us. Each inhale is a gift, with each exhale, let us release our fears." Sarah closed her eyes, concentrating on the calming tide of shared breaths around her. She imagined the waves of the river, rhythmic and purposeful, washing away her anxieties. As air filled her lungs, she envisioned every worry carried off on the current, flowing into the vast unknown. "Now, let us express our gratitude," Pastor Thomas led, his voice rich and comforting. "Gratitude opens the door to miracles. What are you thankful for? One by one, attendees spoke softly, their voices spiraling into the air, a chorus of thankfulness that painted the space with light. I'm thankful for the love of my community, someone said. I'm grateful for the gift of healing, another added. Each declaration resonated inside Sarah, amplifying the rhythm of her own heart. The burden of her uncertainties felt lighter in the warmth of such openness. Yet, beneath it all, an undercurrent of fear lingered, whispering for her to hold back, to remain safe. Suddenly, Emily squeezed Sarah's hand gently. Focus on what you wish to release, she whispered in encouragement. What is it that you are ready to let go of? As the gentle murmurs filled the space, Sarah searched her heart. But before she could articulate her struggles, a vision unfolded in her mind's eye. She saw herself released from expectations, from fear, even from old patterns, swirling in the brightness of possibility. The light of revelation surged within her. What if she truly embraced her journey? Let us lift our eyes to the sky, Pastor Thomas invited, lifting his arms toward the light streaming through the stained glass. Together we can declare our intentions. Let the heavens know we are ready. As the congregation raised their voices anew, a jubilant anthem soared into the rafters. Each note felt like a heartbeat echoing in the Almighty's ears. The church took on a sacredness that engulfed Sarah, her spirit buoyed by the collective trust. Lost in the moment, she wondered, was this what it meant to be vulnerable? To share not only successes but the burdens she carried? The winds outside picked up again, the earthy scent of rain wafting through the cracks. Was there a storm brewing? Perhaps the heavens were honoring their trust with an outpouring of grace. Even as an exhilarating fear wrapped around her, she knew she stood on the brink of understanding. A healing awaited her, not in the absence of darkness but in embracing it. As they sang, a dazzling light flickered, illuminating the possibilities ahead. What might unfold if we truly trust? She thought, her spirit longing to embrace the unknown. With every verse sung, Sarah sensed she was on the cusp of unveiling a divine mystery. One that lay just beyond her gaze. What revelations awaited her as she opened her heart wider? What transformation would trust invite into her life? As the final notes of their joyous song faded into a hushed reverence, the sacred space seemed to hold its breath. The collective presence of the congregation felt like a warm embrace, wrapping around Sarah like a soft blanket. She opened her eyes, still in awe of the energy that charged the air around them. It was then she noticed the flickering light spilling from the stained glass, casting colorful patterns across their uplifted faces. Let us take a moment, Pastor Thomas said softly, sensing the profound stillness. Let us sit in quiet anticipation, let our hearts align in the silence. Sarah closed her eyes once more, drawn into the depths of her own soul. There, she came face to face with her fears and doubts, acknowledging their existence. They were familiar shadows, but she felt a flicker of strength emanating from within her. What if she could softly confront her past, honor it for what it was, but choose to no longer let it govern her? The soft rustle of leaves brushing against the windows interrupted her thoughts, as if they too were listening intently. She remembered the words Emily had whispered earlier, and a wave of determination washed over her. I can let go. I am ready for change. In that moment, Emily's gentle spirit burst forth, her eyes shimmering with faith as she opened her heart wider. What if we don't just declare our intentions, but we take real steps toward letting go? She encouraged, her voice still carrying warmth. A ripple of excitement passed through the group. Each person seemed to share an unspeakable connection, as if they were all part of the same journey, each of them seeking the same freedom. Let us break our silence with intention, Pastor Thomas proposed, eyes sparkling. What comes to mind when you think of what needs releasing? Speak it boldly into the world. I release my fear of the future. One voice rang out, emboldened by the spirit in the room. I release judgment against myself. Another chimed in, echoing solidarity. With each declaration, Sarah felt the weight of her own burdens lift. She wanted to join this cry of liberation, to shed her old self and be reborn anew. I release my worry about acceptance. She finally found the courage to call out, her heart racing. The words vibrated in the air, filling the church with a power that felt tangible. Sarah opened her eyes again to see the faces of her friends, encouragement shining in their gazes as they stood resolute together. Pastor Thomas lifted his arms higher. Feel the love flow. Know that as you release, the universe fills the space with light. The sensation was electric. It felt as if the very walls of the church sighed in relief, harmonizing with their collective intentions. Sarah could see a division slowly forming at the corners of her mind, a pathway illuminating through the shadows of doubt. Her breath quickened with excitement. But with this awakening came a question, echoing softly in her heart. What did this transformation truly look like? Did she dare to imagine it, to step boldly onto this new path laid before her? As they breathed together, the sense of communion deepened, yet uncertainty lingered still. What awaited them just beyond this moment? What kind of miracles were to unfold in their shared faith? With every word spoken in trust, Sarah sensed a divine alignment and opportunity to embrace not just her healing, but the healing of all gathered in love. The whisper of possibility lingered in the air. What further steps would they take together on this journey of discovery? What new revelations lay on the horizon, just waiting to be exposed? As the silence in the church wrapped its arms around the congregation, a sacred pause lingered in the air. Sarah's heart beat in time with the pulse of hope fluttering lightly through every soul present. The release of burdens felt like a gentle breeze sweeping through the room, beckoning them to inhale deeply, to embrace the promise of change waiting just beyond the horizon. Emily looked at her mother with shimmering resolve. We've taken our first step towards healing, but let us embrace this together just as we have with trust. Let us extend our hearts now to love. A tentative excitement ignited in the crowd. This was a call to action, a call to embody the very essence of their faith. Love invites courage, and courage demands action, Pastor Thomas declared. Each word he spoke felt like sacred truth, echoing in the stillness. Are we committed to shine our light across the world? Let it not stop here, but carry through every corner of our lives. Yes. A chorus of voices erupted, lifting the atmosphere even higher. Sarah felt a swelling in her chest, the collective love igniting a fire within her. What if we share our stories? Emily suggested, her eyes gleaming like stars. Every act of kindness, every healing moment. Let us create a space where others can come, much like we have done here today. Our community, our church, let us be the hands and feet of God. The idea ignited curiosity and fervor. Gary raised his hand to speak. What if we set up gatherings? An outreach, inviting those who seek hope? There are so many souls longing for connection. Sarah nodded, feeling a vibrant energy course through the congregation as whispers of agreement danced around her. We can't let this miracle stay within these walls, she said, her voice growing stronger. What we've experienced, this sacred healing, we must share with the world. The passion soared, and the congregation buzzed with determination to act on this newfound love. Plans began to unfurl like blooming flowers, each detail blooming under the divine light shining through the stained glass. The church rang with joy, laughter, and unyielding trust as they mapped out how to reach those in need. Later, as darkness folded itself gently over Eldersfield, the last rays of light kissed the horizon. The church was aglow, its spirit vibrant and alive with an awareness that grace, love, and healing could ripple far beyond their sanctuary. Sarah turned to Emily, the depth of her daughter's maturity striking her with wonder. What have you uncovered, my love? What awaits us in this new journey? Emily smiled softly, her gaze focused beyond the physical. I see connections, Mom. I feel the threads of hope weaving through every life we touch. The healing isn't just for us, it transcends boundaries, reaching every heart that feels lost. Her words resonated like a melody, wrapping around all gathered, binding them in a shared vision. And as we heal together, Pastor Thomas added, we will learn to reconcile the wounds of our past. Each step we take prepares the way, encouraging others to find their own light. Yes. Sarah shouted, exhilaration bubbling within her. They would be conduits of that healing balm. She felt alive in their calling. Forgiveness and love, this will be our banner. Every hand we hold, every heart we support, we will manifest our faith into tangible blessings. The atmosphere thickened with purpose. They began to chant the words they had learned through Ho'oponopono, their collective voices elevating the spirit in the room. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. The words became a sacred song, an invitation to all they would encounter, a gentle reminder that healing was accessible for everyone. As the last echoes faded, Sarah saw the spark in Emily's eyes grow brighter. We're just beginning, Mom. The real work is in every being we touch. We can spread that energy to families, schools, outside our doors. A tear slipped down her cheek, but it wasn't sadness, this was a tear of joy, of recognition. Let us pray for the strength to carry this vision forward, Pastor Thomas urged. That we embark on this journey not just for ourselves, but for every soul seeking healing. Each head bowed, and as they united in prayer, a palpable energy flowed among them. Answers to questions unasked settled softly into their hearts, a deep assurance that they were on the brink of something profound. Later that evening, as they slowly exited the church, Sarah looked up at the star-filled sky, wonder washing over her. This was a moment, a turning point. The world outside awaited their courage. She felt a pull toward the path laid ahead, a life woven with faith, bravery, and love. As she clasped Emily's hand tightly, Sarah realized they had shed the shadows of despair together. They had stepped into the light, the sacred light of hope. This journey would continue, unfolding in myriad ways as they promised to honor their commitments, and within her soul, an undeniable truth blossomed: the love forged in Eldersfield could indeed transform lives, uplift hearts, and usher in miracles beyond measure. Together, they were destined to change not just their reality, but to ripple out and manifest joy across the earth. This was the call, the urgent, faithful call that beckoned all who had tasted grace to step forward. Now, dear friends, as you feel this journey stirring within you, take that step. Subscribe immediately to our channel, so you won't miss the next exclusive faith stories that will inspire you. Leave a like now to help feed the algorithm and spread this loving message. Comment below with your reactions and testimonies about this powerful ending. Your voice matters. Share this video instantly with at least 5 friends who need to see this manifestation. You need to be the light in their lives. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait even one more second. Let love lead.